Intelligent Ramblings with your host, Bill Lofton. Co-hosted by Gary Glenn and William Howington with help from John Call.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another evening of Intelligent Ramblings. You may have noticed that your host is so much more handsome and better looking than in prior shows, and that's just for tonight only, folks. I'm standing in for Bill, who is working and being true to his craft, and he should be able to join us at some point, maybe during the college football segment coming up at 8:30. And right now, I'm joined by the esteemed Gary Glenn, and we're hoping that William Howington can join us in a few minutes. And we're going to stick to the usual format. We're going to go over current events from the headlines of the day. And then at 8:30, we're going to crank up with college football. And we're leading into a really interesting, fun part of the year. It's college football playoff time and bowl game time. We got a lot of picks to go through. Mm-hmm. And so we'll talk about that and then wind up the show from there. Thank you for joining us. If you're out there on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, let us see your comments. We're happy for you to join in. Thank you for being here. Okay, some combination of really gloomy headlines this week and some business, economic, and political headlines too, to finish up. So, Gary, let's go ahead and get started with those. I'm going to put up the first headline, which is about that terrible school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin this week. Officers responded to Abundant Life Christian School on Monday to a deadly school shooting. A staff member and a student were killed in the attack, while 6 others were injured, police have said, including 2 students hospitalized in critical condition. The shooter, a 15-year-old female student, died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, said the Madison police chief late Monday. The police have said the shooter used a handgun to carry out the attack. And unfortunately, so sadly, here we are again, facing another shooting where kids have died, and it's the guns. I don't know. Gary, maybe you can articulate better, but we're swimming in an ocean of guns, and of course, people get shot, and it's just another tragedy.
Yeah, and I'm privy to some of the mailings. Was it Sandy Hook? They're really on the mothers to try to get some kind of semblance of gun control. And I understand the argument that guns don't kill people; people kill people, but guns make it easier for people to kill people. If you are really determined to do away with people, you'll probably find some way to do it. Be it running over them with your car, taking an axe, stabbing them. And we've had, they had that thing in, was it New York a few weeks ago where the guy was just running around randomly stabbing people and things like that. But
right,
that's harder to do mass casualties with other sorts of weapons other than guns, some of which can be made either semi-automatic or fully automatic. There's way too many guns in the country for people to effectively ban all guns. That's just not going to happen. I think we're going to have to concentrate more on the preventative side of things, which is we may have to have more the SROs, that's school resource officers. And I hate to say it, but metal detectors may have to be installed. I mean, you got to get a handle on this somewhere or another because what we're doing just is not working. I think it should be made a whole lot harder to own weapons, and for
Yeah.
people to, obviously there's so many out there, to grandfather everybody into it would probably be one way for people, but people that are buying new weapons or reselling things like that, I think there would be a way to approach it that way. This individual that just lately did that, she put some sort of manifesto in effect. She was basically looking to commit suicide and take people with her.
Oh gosh.
That's seriously deranged too, John. What do you do with that? I mean, how do you combat that? The mental health crisis that we've had in this country for quite some time, that somebody keeps sweeping under the rug, pretending it's not there. I've told people a lot of times, I said, now we can pretend we're going to do this, but we're not. So let's don't pretend that. So this is something that is in the past has been a stigma, mental health. You remember it cost politicians, people running for the presidency, stuff like
right.
that, admit that they had psychiatric help, but it's not really that way that much anymore. So people need to get help when they need it. And if that takes people being more in tune with recognizing the signs of this. Now, it's hard to deal with people, though, who make up their mind to just do some evil action. I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to deal with that.
I agree. I think two things I have heard or thought about is the one thing I heard most recently about this is that the parents, not that there's anything wrong with this, but the parents introduced or supported this young person's use of guns, and they're probably going to end up in the same situation that the parents of the Winder school shooter
the dad
did.
Yeah.
They may end up, liable for the actions of their daughter, which is at that age, that's as it should be, if you ask me. Yeah, I don't know, Gary. The thing about how do you control them? How do you what do you do with the existing guns? I think you're onto something when it comes to people like this who apparently are upset or disturbed or having problems. Put them together with a gun and you've got an instant bad situation. And their parents primarily are responsible for that. And so we need better to understand that, and control it better somehow. I could go for something like, you can have all the guns you want, but they're locked up in a locker, and if you want to use one, go get it out of the locker. But the access is just too easy right now.
I'm a country boy.
Go ahead. I was waiting to hear more about your country background.
And I was reared around guns, and
yeah,
most of the males in my family were involved in law enforcement sometimes. So
right.
We had weapons all the way around. I mean, not just guns, but knives and bows and arrows and all kinds of weapons. And I never thought about taking one of those weapons to school and using it on my classmates and my teachers. I mean, that was not even in the realm of possibility. I guess everybody thinks about that now. I mean, it's a possibility now, but I mean, that was not even dreamed of. I mean, I knew what those guns were for, and they weren't for shooting my friends or my classmates or my teachers.
The people I was around, I was around some of the same people you were, Gary. it was like they almost weren't even a weapon. It was a tool. You know, there were occasions where you just had to have a gun. So you carried one and it wasn't a
Yeah.
big deal. And you're
Yeah.
right. Nobody considered doing anything so destructive and violent with them. They were more for protection.
Well, you know,
And I will say
you know,
the
they're bad guys.
generation that we grew up around, Gary, had way more. So it was, our parents were in the greatest generation. And most of those people were exposed to firearms their whole life. And a significant statistical number of them had been in the military and had weapons training.
Yeah.
They knew about handguns and rifles and shotguns, and so much better than a lot of people do today. I kind of wonder if people are, you know, playing first person shooter games and thinking it's just a game, but it's not.
I think that might be part of it, you know, and you know, like you said, my dad and both my brothers were military people, or ex-military. Well, my dad and one of my brothers were Marines, so there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. You're just always a Marine. But
right.
my other brother was in the Army, so you're right. They were raised around weapons. My brother Dan was a heck of a duck hunter, and I mean, he was a marksman. You didn't want Danny Glenn shooting at you because he was going to hit you.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he'd come home with ducks, but you know, he wasn't a big deer hunter, any of that kind of stuff. He just liked to shoot birds because they were a challenge. You know, I mean, it's hard to hit those kinds of things, but and that's what they did for him. We remember, and those stories are not apocryphal, folks, about boys driving to school with their pickup trucks and their gun racks because they were either going to hunting before school or going hunting after school, depending on what they were hunting and what the season was. And nobody said much about that either. Now that would get you locked up. I think what we're here to, John, is a generation coming along that has no idea of responsibility. Everything seems to be a game. They're exposed to violence on every side, and it's so much violence it's cartoonish, and
yeah,
they seem to be getting inoculated against real world situations. And you know, when you let kids, and a lot of these are kids, when you let kids get away with stuff, they're going to keep getting away with stuff, and they're going to see how much more they can get away with if they face no consequences. And a lot of the school systems now are just bumping people along. I've told people, I said, you know, you wouldn't get out of the 7th grade until you were 35 if you couldn't do the work. Heck with all this business about, it's going to pass you anyway.
Yeah, social promotion.
What does that teach? That teaches, you know, you can be whatever you want to do and everything is fine.
Well, you and I were in high school with some people who I believe were in their 20s when they graduated.
I'm sure they were.
And hats off to them. They graduated, but
that's right.
They didn't get like moved along. You had to do the work.
No, had to do the work. And our teachers, and you know, our teachers and our coaches, they didn't give a damn about our self-esteem if we were doing it wrong. Why do I need to tell you that you're doing right when you're not?
Yeah.
I don't get that. I just don't get that. I had one little girl that was misbehaving, and I asked her, "Why are you doing this?" It was been a whole lot easier for her just to do the work, right? I mean, it wasn't even hard. And yeah. She looked at me and she told me, "Because I can."
Oh, my goodness.
I started laughing, and I said, "That may be the truest thing you've ever said, because you can, because nobody calls you on it." And guess what? She'll probably be, if she's in the 7th grade this year, she'll probably be in the 8th grade next year.
Oh my goodness. Well,
it's just, and that what I'm trying to say is that part of the discipline and the everything's okay kind of thing is, we're raising a whole generation that's kind of lost in a lot of ways because they don't have any firm anchors. They don't have any. Everything just floats. You know, it's situational. It's situational ethics. And there's certain things that are on situations, but there are other things that are hard and fast. They're immutable.
Yeah.
And people have just crossed that line constantly and don't seem to care.
Okay. On to the next headline. Fed funds rate cut. the Federal Open Market Committee cut its overnight borrowing rate to a target range of 4.25% to 4.5%, back to the level where it was in December 2022. Today was a closer call, but we decided it was the right call, Chair Jerome Powell said. The Fed indicated it would probably lower twice more in 2025, twice in 2026, and once in 2027. Those cuts would put the Fed funds rate at 3% in 2027. So we're a couple of years out, maybe 3 years out from the last rate cut, which we've talked about before. And if they end up at 3%, that's still higher than it was pre-COVID and during COVID. And so I'm going to go through this one and the next one, and we'll put it all together on the third slide. So this one is, our next note is government shutdown deadline is Friday. That's Friday of this week, 2 days from now, 4 days from Christmas. Thank you, GOP. Way to go. Speaker Mike Johnson is looking at a plan B to fund the government ahead of Friday's shutdown deadline as Republicans slam his Plan A spending package. The backup option Johnson is examining is a clean continuing resolution. It would drop the additional provisions that were included in the initial 1,500-page spending package negotiated by congressional leaders, which included disaster aid and economic assistance for the farmers. And I'm thinking that they will take that up after the first of the year and get this clean continuing resolution passed. And then the next slide is, given those two things, the Dow plunges more than 1,100 points today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the day down about 1,123 points, or 2.6%, after the Fed indicated in a policy statement that it is forecasting just 2 interest rate cuts in 2025. The decline also followed news that a government shutdown deadline is looming on Friday, after House Republicans failed to get support for their initial spending plan. So here we are. We've got a Fed funds rate cut, which the market knows about. I mean, headline notwithstanding, the Fed indicated in a policy statement that is forecasting just 2 interest rate cuts in 2025. The people who watch the Fed and look at this relative to their investments knew that the likelihood of more than 2 cuts in 2025 was not good. So it shouldn't have been a surprise. I would say the bigger deal is that once again, we're faced with the possibility of a government shutdown if the House of Representatives can't get their act together and pass a spending plan that the Senate and President Biden can approve. And so we're back to being held hostage by a minority of people in the House of Representatives. What's his name? Rand Paul being one of them, and the House Freedom Caucus being the other group that are putting us back in this situation. They destroyed over 2.5% of the Dow's value today because they couldn't act. And I don't know. I wonder why we vote for the people that we vote for. Who knows?
We're creatures of habit. 1,123 points. Oh, that's a prescient number.
Yeah,
I think this is like a record 9th straight day of falling Dow Jones, isn't it?
correct.
Something like that.
That's right, Gary.
Yeah, and the market reacts to society, and that's there's a lot of unrest going on right now, and people are reluctant to put any money. If the society goes well, people are more likely to invest. When the society doesn't go well, or there's a lot of turmoil and chaos, people tend to pull back their investments. So I think we're seeing some of that. I think we're seeing some of that right now. I think there were some rumors that there's going to be some sort of a stopgap bill again that would be, at least take us through the spring. Of course, now you're going to have the new Congress coming in. Everybody's going to be sworn in, and we'll see what the business people make of all of that as they come in. Right now, it's just, I think people are reluctant to part with any of their money because the prices are still, although inflation has ameliorated somewhat, there's still a lot of prices that are just yo-yoing up and down, particularly in the gas market. Oh my gosh, have you seen that? I mean, it's all over the place, and I think they just charge us whatever they want to charge us because they can.
You know? Yes, they can.
That's right. Just like that little girl. Yes, they can.
There's I so want to talk about this, the fact that prices are doing what they're doing. Maybe we can do once Bill's back and we have a chance to set up some more shows. Maybe after full football season, we can talk about I guess the economy in general. And there's two things at work. There's a set of expenses that everybody's got: property taxes, homeowners insurance, auto insurance. Those things are all going up all at the same time. And if you throw in higher grocery bills, health insurance is another one of those things that it just, you don't have a choice. You got to pay it. And
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And then, so gas prices are so variable. Grocery prices are slow to come down. They're coming down, but now eggs are on the way back up. It doesn't matter who's in office. The avian flu that's going through the hen houses now is, we started out the year millions of layers hens short because they had died off or been culled because of the bird flu. And now it's making a comeback, and birds are sick. The egg deliveries aren't what they used to be, and so egg prices are going up. And good luck, President-elect Trump, changing that. Maybe you can jawbone the prices down. That doesn't very often work, though.
Yeah, it is a situation where everybody, I think, right now is wait and see. Wait and see. Let's wait and see what the new administration is going to do.
I get that feeling too, Gary.
If these are wars that Trump has said he can end, see if they do, which would create a little bit more stability in various parts of the world. We'll just see.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we're just all holding our breath, wait and see what's going to happen. And then we can react to that. Some of these things, though, need to be proactive rather than reactive.
True.
But
two things.
Very reluctant to do that.
Two things can negatively affect the stock market, and that is, or any business, and that is risk and uncertainty. And risk you can insure against. I mean, you can control the damage. Uncertainty, nobody likes. And we've got a lot of uncertainty around what's going to happen after January 20th. What immediately this week, we've got to see if our representatives can get a budget passed, a continuing resolution passed to fund the government. And so it's all that is uncertainty that the markets do not like. Okay, I'm going to go on to our last topic before college football starts up here in a few minutes. A senior Russian general was killed as he left his southeastern Moscow apartment in a bold assassination that was claimed by Ukraine's security service. Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov was killed Tuesday by a bomb hidden in an electric scooter outside his apartment building a day after Ukraine's security service leveled criminal charges against him. His assistant, Ilya Polikarpov, was also killed. And all I can say is couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, and watch out for those crazy electric scooters out there, man.
Yeah.
Who knew you could weaponize one of those things? But the Ukrainians, give them credit. They're ingenious. They're finding a way to fight this war unconventionally, and it's effective.
Well, they're going to start adopting more of the guerrilla tactics, I think, and which has been proved to be quite effective in a number of wars, including the American Revolution, the American Civil War, and Vietnam. Which pops just right off the top of my head. You know, these kind of tactics where it's hit and run and live to fight another day. And these people are doing that kind of thing now, and they're doing it deep into Russian territory. This was in Moscow, right?
Yes, with not far, 20 minutes from the Kremlin.
Yeah, so you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. You poke the bear, sometimes the bear bites back.
Ain't that the truth?
So we'll see. I do think that they're trying to take steps now to ensure that whatever is budgeted for the Ukraine in particular for this year, they actually will get. Now, when the new administration comes in, I have a feeling most of that's going to go away.
Yeah.
So whether they're going to get it, and we already discussed on this program a week or two ago, where these peace talks that we're hearing might in fact have the effect of ramping up the action over there, because both sides are so uncertain what's going to happen.
So they're going to try to gain as much territory as they can.
Gain as much territory, hang on as much territory as they can. And when the turn of the year happens, they'll wait and see, like the rest of us, what's going to happen on the international scale as well as domestic.
Well, I have to, you have to really quickly, you just have to admire the Ukrainians. They have withstood assault after assault in this war and turned it away, and fought the Russians to more or less a standstill. We're now, I don't know how many months, coming up on 2 years, heading into 2 years of war. And people were saying that on the Russian side, at least, that it would be over in a week after it started.
Well, they thought that. They thought that about a lot of wars, John, including as the aforementioned American Civil War. You know, they treated that almost like a lark at the very first, and it kept dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. And over there, it's kind of the same thing. It just keeps going on. And this is Russia's Vietnam.
Yeah, they are in it for sure. Okay, well, I've got a and as my program director hat is on right now, I've got to sell some merchandise and get us ready to go into college football.
Okay.
So stand by, everybody. We'll do that. All right, here we are with college football, and this is a whole new season. The regular season is over, and we're now in college football playoff territory and bowl game territory.
And before we go any further, we all got to give props to Bill Lofton, who sniffed out that Navy upset of Army for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
Exactly. Way to go,
three of
Bill.
us all went for Army because they had a superior record. But you look down there and that was Navy's 9th win of the season, right? So they're not too bad. They're not too shabby.
They're a good football team,
and they showed that they just whipped Army. That wasn't a fluke right there. That was a whipping.
I think we live in wonderful, great, fantastic times when the service academies have seasons like this. I mean, they are good football teams this year.
Yeah.
So happy about that. So, yeah, let's look at last week. So really quick, last week, Gary, you and I both and William missed the Army-Navy game. We got that one wrong. William missed a couple of others along with that. Bill missed the Brooks County versus Bowdoin County Class A Division II championship game. He and William went with Brooks County, and you and I, the correct ones, went with Bowdoin County. And so last week, you missed one, I missed one, Bill missed one. The last time I checked, anyway.
Well, I was at the Mercedes-Benz earlier today, John, watching Prince Avenue Christian and Hebron won that one, and it wasn't close.
Oh, wow. Well, we all missed that one then.
Yeah. In fact, Hebron doubled them up. 56-28 was the final.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Prince Avenue played without arguably one of their best players, the running back that I've talked so much about. Andrew Beard had a high ankle sprain, and he only played a handful of plays all day long. He plays some offense and some defense. He's a great running back and pretty good defensive back too, I think. But I leaned over and I told his mom and dad, we were sitting right behind them, and I said, I sure am sorry your boy didn't get to play any more than he did today, but I'm not sure it would have made a lot of difference because Hebron just came to play today, and they were just slashing through the line, and when they got into the secondary, nobody could catch them. And
wow.
So it's just their day. And earlier this year, Prince Avenue had beaten Hebron by 3 points, but today it wasn't close. And our alma mater just got through getting beat by Calhoun. Jefferson falls to Calhoun today, 20-7 was the final.
Wow, thank you for those updates, Gary. That's good.
So and Jefferson played. Their defense was pretty good all day. They just couldn't get anything going offensively, and that happens some days. And John, you and I, we played the game, and this is what sports teaches you. Some days it's the other guy's time. Some days they're just better than you are.
No matter what you do to prepare or in the game, sometimes it's just not going to happen.
And tomorrow it might be your day, but today it was theirs. So, and I don't know. I think the last one maybe is it Carrollton and Grayson going to play tonight, because they've been playing flag football and all that stuff all week long. So,
oh gosh.
I just got through. I watched the Prince Avenue game in person with my son and my grandsons because his nephew by marriage and their cousin is Andrew, so we were there basically to support him. And then listened to some of it on the radio, some of the Jefferson game on the radio, and caught the end of it on GPTV.
Yeah, so, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bill just joined us.
Hey.
Hello, Bill.
Party
looking
has
sharp.
arrived.
We started the college football discussion exactly on time. And we got caught up in last week's games, and we're about to go through the playoff and bowl games now.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to kick it off, so to speak. Here we are with the college football playoff first round. First game is number 10, Indiana, at number 7, Notre Dame, who is a good football team. They may be a little underranked at this point. I've got Notre Dame for this one.
I didn't want to
Gary,
pick
how
Notre
about
Dame, but
you?
I did.
You got Notre Dame, Bill?
Yeah.
Put me down for Notre Dame too. I think the Irish are just a little bit better than Indiana, although I don't think Indiana's a bad team. But I think Notre Dame, and they're at home, so touchdown Jesus, all that stuff. Win one,
Exactly.
win one for the Gipper. All those cliches that the Irish have promulgated over the years.
They've got.
I think they're going to win this one. And the winner,
Rudy is
winner goes
the
to
history with
catches
Rudy and all that stuff. That's just
right. And the
so
winner
much
catches
background
Georgia in
and
the Sugar
history.
Bowl, right?
Yeah.
The winner catches Georgia in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's night.
Yeah, that's their biggest problem right now. Running into the dogs.
Well, here we go. Next game is number 12, Clemson, at number 5, Texas. And I've got Texas in this one.
Yeah, I think Clemson's a good football team. I think Texas matches up really well with them, though. Both like a lot of power, and I think the Longhorns maybe just have a few more horses than the Tigers. So put me down for Texas, John.
I
You
think
got it?
Texas is pretty pissed off about not getting their butt kicked by Georgia twice, and they're in a bad mood. And Clemson they might be really good one day, and they really suck one day. So you don't know.
You hit the nail on the head, Bill.
Texas is consistent, and with the exception of Georgia, Texas is going to be hard to beat.
I was thinking about this game, thinking, if Clemson plays the way Clemson can play, then Texas could lose this game. But it's so unpredictable. It's like, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's hard to tell which Clemson team is going to show up.
Well, and Clemson, quite frankly, is pretty lucky to be there. And I think maybe they're thinking, we're just glad to be here.
Yeah.
Now, Dabo Swinney's not going to tell you that. And he's going to say we're going to be in there and fight. And I think they'll try. Of course they'll try. But I just think Texas is a little bit better.
Okay, on to number 9, Tennessee at Ohio State. I think this is going to be a great football game.
It's going to be a great game, and I think it could be an upset, but I don't think so.
Upset like Tennessee beats Ohio State?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that's all that much of an upset, although they are at Ohio State. And Ohio State has been kind of they're a little bit of an enigma to me. I thought for a long time they were the best team in the country. Had all those transfer portals, they had all the great coaches that they have assembled there. And then they go and they seem to have a brain fart every now and then. I don't know what's going on with the Buckeyes, but we've seen Tennessee, and we know Tennessee's pretty good.
Well,
I'm gonna pick the upset here, John. Put me down for Tennessee.
Okay.
Tennessee at this point in time has bought more tickets to the game than Ohio State has, and it's at Ohio State.
Oh my gosh.
And they went on and did some kind of hack and renamed Ohio Stadium Neyland North Stadium. And it took a while, but they changed it back to Ohio Stadium. But for a while, it was on Google, on Apple Maps as Neyland North.
Those crazy Volunteers, man, they'll do anything.
So Tennessee is taking this very seriously.
Yeah, and the other thing, is we don't know the effect of this layoff is going to have on people. Some people that were hot may have cooled off a little bit, and some people that needed to get healed up may be healed up by now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. Give me the Volunteers in this one. I'll go with the SEC.
You got it. I would like to, but I just feel like on paper, Ohio State ought to win this game. So that's who I've got. And Bill,
Okay.
you've got Ohio State, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Next game is number 11, SMU, at number 6, Penn State. And I am going to take the rankings for what they say they are and go with Penn State. I think SMU's had a great season, but I think they're going to come up against it at Penn State.
Well, I think Penn State plays awfully good defense. I mean, that's traditionally, linebacker you and all that kind of thing, and they are at home. So I'm gonna go with Penn State here too.
And Bill, you said you're Penn State.
Yeah.
Also. Okay, you got it, man.
Bill's kind of doing.
I mean,
Bill, you're looking good in your tie tonight, brother.
Yeah, and got the tie on and everything, man. Got it going on.
Yeah. We got to give you a little grief about that. I can't remember the last time I wore a tie. Well, actually, now I can. It was somebody's funeral, so that's another.
I wore one just the other day for that purpose.
Well, when I'm shooting these graduations, for everybody that doesn't know, I have to wear a tie. So, and I'm wearing purple because I'm at Clemson.
All right. So I'm missing out. Is purple one of their colors?
Yeah, it is.
Huh. I thought they were like the
Purple
orange.
Purple and orange.
Purple and orange. Okay.
What a wonderful color combination.
I was just thinking, that's hideous. What are you thinking, Clemson? Come on now. All right. On to the bowl games. These are just the regular bowl games that we used to watch.
These were hard to pick.
Yeah, they are hard. I am not sure about a lot of these.
We'll give it our best shot.
First one is Tulane versus Florida in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, and I think Florida is a team on the mend. I've got Florida. Bill, you want Florida too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate to say it because you just can't hate those Gators enough. But and this one, if you're picking who's going to win, I think it's Florida.
Yeah, I do too. I think Tulane not in the same league. Good luck to them. Proud they can make it to a bowl game. I think they're just going to wave the green wave on out of the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah, and then you got those Gators. They swim pretty well in those waves. So,
yeah. Next one, Oklahoma versus Navy. So I know who Bill's got in this one.
Did you guys recognize the fact that I went 4 for 4 last weekend?
We bragged on you.
We did. Yes, we did.
I wanted to make sure about that shit because go Navy. If I had planned on if I'd have been at home, I had planned on playing Anchors Away, but I couldn't do it. So Anchors Away, my boy. Anchors Away.
Yeah. We right before you joined, we were talking about how great that Army-Navy game was, and that it's so awesome that they're both having good seasons this year.
I'm gonna buck the service academies. I'm going with Oklahoma. I think it's about time for them to put something together. Boomer sooner.
Interesting. Okay, is there something that makes you say Oklahoma is going to somehow generate some offense if and when they can get the ball?
Well, I think the layoff did them some good, and I think Navy had a very, very emotional win over Army, and it's tough to get up 2 times in a row like that, and SEC. Although I know Oklahoma's new to the conference, I think Oklahoma is going to have a little bit of an edge here.
I really don't think I picked Navy.
Did you send? Okay, well,
I did.
You did not? Is that what you said, Bill?
I think I did. I think I picked Oklahoma.
Okay, I'll put you down for Oklahoma. I'm going with Navy, and here's why. I think Oklahoma's good. Their defense is good, but I think Navy, their offense is so good, they're eventually going to wear down Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, bless their hearts, can't score a point to save their lives. I mean, they might kick 3 field goals before halftime, but that's it.
I'm thinking that Navy just doesn't have the athletes to compete.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
They was their quarterback that had such a great game against the Army?
Yeah, but he wasn't playing against SEC.
True.
Yeah. Well, Brent Venable's defense is really good, and Navy can't make any mistakes, or they'll do Oklahoma beats Alabama kind of a thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, this is going to be a really good football game. Georgia Tech versus Vanderbilt in the Birmingham Bowl. And I'm going against the conference. I've got Georgia Tech.
It pains me to say this because you remember David LaCroix?
Yes, I do.
It was our English teacher back in high school at Jefferson High School. He's told me I should consider Vanderbilt because of my high verbal on the SAT. But and it pains me to say this as a diehard Bulldog, but I think I'm going to go with Georgia Tech because they showed me something against Georgia. And I think when their quarterback is playing well, the Jackets are pretty tough.
Yeah,
I think Vanderbilt's had a great year, but I don't think they can hang with Georgia Tech here, Birmingham Bowl.
And you've got Georgia Tech also, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one is Texas Tech versus Arkansas in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And so I'm going with Arkansas in this one.
Yeah.
I think they're proud to be going to a bowl game, and hopefully Sam Pittman can get them fired up and ready to play.
Texas Tech.
Bill's going with Texas Tech.
I'm with you, John. Put me down for Arkansas.
Okay. Also, this
Texas Tech beat Iowa State, and they also beat Arizona State.
Interesting.
So they can beat anybody just about on a good day. And Arkansas has not impressed me at all this year.
I might reserve the right to change my pick before that game. By the way, while we're talking about that, the wonderful weekly predictions spreadsheet lets us do all kinds of things, and one of them is if you want to make an update to your picks leading up to kickoff, and anytime before toe meets leather, thanks to Al Seraldo, just let me know and I'll update your pick. All right. And so our next game is Texas A&M versus USC in the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. And
USC hasn't shown me much this year.
No,
So,
they're
same for
very-
me.
I'm going with the Aggies here. Put me down.
I'm
for
thinking
A&M.
Lincoln Riley's he's real close to not having a job.
Yeah, I don't know what his buyout terms are, but at any rate, what a disappointment USC has been. I've got Texas A&M for this one. Is that what I'm hearing
Yeah.
from everybody?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. Fred, thank you, Fred. I get to toot my own horn here. Fred says, good job, John, in the first chair tonight. And let me tell you guys that Bill rehearsed with me, guided me through this, and made this possible. And it was kind of like, it kind of reminded me of football practice where, you know, if you didn't exactly get a block right, or, you know, maybe you didn't trap right, or come down on the linebacker right, or take your guy outside the way he's supposed to go. Coach Lofton would say, run that again. and Bill was that way, and it was great preparation. So, so far,
On the
this
line.
has gone really well. Many thanks to Bill.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
On the
and
line,
it's
run it again.
We did run it again a couple times, no doubt.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did. Oh yeah. Yep.
No,
Yep.
I told you the famous story about me and Alec Bryan and William, right?
No, you'll have to tell us that one again, Gary.
Oh well, we got a minute. We were out there, and I'm playing a lot of second, third string, running a lot of scout teams, which actually, in my career as a broadcaster, turned out to be a great benefit because I could run lots of different offenses and defenses. When I looked out on the field, I'm calling a football game. I could recognize them and call the right thing. In fact, Billy, your daddy gave me a great compliment one time. He said, it's nice to hear somebody calling football on the radio that knows the game. But anyway, so we're over there, we're blocking. And
That is a compliment. That's a big compliment coming out.
It was a huge compliment. I walked around with a smile on my face for days. But Coach Lofton, because, we didn't have very many people, 20 some odd out for the team. That was varsity. And so we're running like sometimes half line or half line plus another guard on the other side or something like that. Your dad's running quarterback. So Alec is across, and this is a guy, for the people who don't know, got a full ride at Georgia Tech, state champion, shot putter, discus thrower, wrestler, just a all-around stud hoss. Well, anyway, he's eating my lunch pretty good. And Coach Lofton looks at me and says, Gary, can't you keep Alec out for one play? Well, that sort of stung my pride a little bit. And although I was a laid-back kind of guy, I was probably the third or fourth strongest guy on the team behind Alec and Rodney. And I said, all right. So William was running back. And that one play, I fired out, I dug in, I chopped my feet, and I moved him out of the hole, and William runs for a touchdown. So I'm trotting back to the huddle, and feeling pretty good about myself. And Coach Lofton looks, and I expect him to say, all right, Gary, that was all right. But instead, he looked across the line and said, Alec, that was Gary Glenn keeping you out of here. And I went, oh, my God. And William goes, just get a piece of him, Glenn, because Coach Lofton said, on the line, run it again. Not only has he hurt Alec's pride, but now they know it's coming.
Yeah.
So William goes, just get a piece of him, Glenn. Just get a piece of him. So when I woke up, later, 3 days in a ditch in Arkansas somewhere, looking out the ear hole of my helmet, I realized that Alec got not only to the quarterback, but to the running back and anybody else he wanted to get to. Because I could just see the steam coming out of the ear holes of his helmet when I got down to the 3-point stance across. So that's on the line. Run it again.
Okay, speaking of running it, let's run through the rest of the games. Here we are at the Pop-Tarts Bowl. What's not to like about this one? Iowa State and Miami. I've got Miami.
Yeah, Miami all day.
You think so?
Yeah.
I do.
Cyclones. All right. Well, all right. Let's go with it then. Let's go with the Hurricanes. Miami. They did sort of put it together a little bit toward the end, didn't they?
Well, they've been either extremely good or pretty good at times. I mean, they lost to Georgia Tech, which is a pretty damn good ball club. We all agree. And they lost to North Carolina State, I believe. But they're only a couple of losses away from being in the top 2 or 3. And they may have the best quarterback in the country.
That is true.
All right. Well, put me down for Miami, John.
You got it. Next one is going to be an interesting game here. Another good game, I think. No one's going to play defense in this game, but it'll still be interesting. BYU versus Colorado in the Valero Alamo Bowl. And I have got Colorado with an asterisk. Like, what's going to happen? Is the transfer portal going to wipe them out? Are they going to, are they going to show up? Or what's going to happen? Well, BYU ought to be able to stay on the field with them.
Well,
I think BYU will beat them by 20.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I'm going to go with Colorado. I'm going to stick with John. They do have the current reigning Heisman Trophy winner, and he also won a couple of those other best awards, didn't he? Like the best wide receiver and the best defensive back too. It was Biletnikoff, and what was the other award that he won?
Oh gosh,
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, but he won that. He won 2 awards and other awards. The top person at your position in the country, in addition to the Heisman. He won the best wide receiver and the best defensive back award, whatever they're named for. I think it's one of them, the Biletnikoff Award.
That's the wide receiver award.
My memory escapes me. The Bednarik. Chuck Bednarik. The Bednarik Award. Wasn't that what the one he won? Okay.
Yes.
He is absolutely a freak. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
It'll be a good game. Well worth watching. Amazing
athlete. And whoever picks him, I mean, they could be picking him as a defensive back or a receiver.
Yeah.
Or he might want to, he just says he loves football. He doesn't want to get off the field.
Collins Hill High School product.
Right. Apparently he's in a hell of a shape too.
Man.
It's tough to play. It's tough to play both ways at Division I football level. I'm gonna tell you, boys.
I didn't know he went to Collins Hill.
Yeah.
He did.
Gwinnett County.
Yep. Well, he's a Georgia boy.
Yeah. All right, on to Louisiana Tech versus Army in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, and I've got Army for this one.
I think they're stung by that loss to Navy, and I think they'll come out and show out. I'll go with the Army.
Yeah, I definitely got Army on this one. Army ought to be ranked higher than they are, and I know they played pretty much a candy schedule, but they're 11-1. They lost one game to the number 6 or 7 team in the country, and they're 11-1. So I think Army ought to be ranked in the damn top 10.
Well, 11-2 now, so then also Navy.
Who did they lose to?
Navy.
That's right. Go Navy.
Go Navy. Okay, we got 4 games to do here. Let's cruise through the last of them. South Carolina versus Illinois in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. If you weren't tired of all those Cheez-It commercials that we've been watching all season long, you will be after this one. And I've got South Carolina to win this.
Carolina! Absolutely. They're going to beat the crap out of Illinois.
I think Beamer Ball takes over the Cheez-It Bowl.
Absolutely.
You got South Carolina, Gary?
Yeah, South Carolina. Go Gamecocks. Go Cox.
Yeah.
They got that freshman quarterback coming back next year. They're going to be somebody to deal with next year.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go with Alabama versus Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl. And
as Gary puts it, it's like East Hell versus West Hell. I hate them both.
I've got Alabama to win this one.
I don't think it's going to be close. I think Alabama's going to beat them like a drum.
Yeah. Alabama.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's two teams with who've had a disappointing season, and they're just it's gonna be a good football game. Okay, on to the next one. Baylor versus LSU in Kinder's Texas Bowl. I've got LSU, but it's another one of those asterisk games. If LSU doesn't show up, if they can't get motivated and put together a decent ball game, Baylor's going to give them everything they want. They're gonna stay right with them. I've got LSU, but it's like I said, it's up in the air for me.
I'm going to go against type this time, and LSU's just been kind of disappointing to me this year. So I'm going to go with Baylor. How about them Bears?
Baylor Bears.
I'm going with LSU. They're in a bad mood, and they got a good coach. If they can figure out what the hell's going on down there. And yeah, very disappointed season, but I still think they're a Southeastern Conference team playing against one of those wimpy conferences. So LSU, no doubt.
Okay.
I would leave this light on so you can see my pretty self, but I'm driving down I-85 at about 78 miles an hour. It's kind of hard to see. So
be safe, Bill.
Y'all just gonna have to listen to me.
Okay. All right. We can do that. Last one of the bowl games, Duke versus Ole Miss in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. I've got Ole Miss. I think they're at this point in the season, they're looking to put up some style points and make things look good for 2025.
Agreed. Ole Miss, Rebs.
Agreed.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
That covers the college football playoffs and the bowl games. So let's go through a couple things and we'll get into closing remarks coming up next.
All right.
This webcast is brought to you by William Lofton Photography. They can be found at williamlofton.com. Offering event residential portraiture at williamlofton.com.
Okay, Bill's driving out there. It's just a dark.
Dark and stormy night.
What's up, Bill? Be careful, man.
I'm about 10 miles outside of the state, and I'm on I-85, heading about 78 miles an hour, heading it down south towards the house. And
well, be safe, brother. Well,
don't you love technology?
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. We're able to broadcast as I'm driving.
It's,
we need to tell the folks, John and Bill, that we will be taking the next 2 Wednesdays off because next Wednesday is Christmas night. We'll all be doing that kind of stuff. And then the night after that is New Year's, and we're all going to be watching the dogs. So
yes.
Everybody have a great, happy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. May 2025 be full of joy for you and me and every one of us. God bless us, everyone, in the words of Tiny Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and thank you, those of us those of you who joined us and commented. Remember, you can watch us anytime you want on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and see you after 2 more Wednesdays, as Gary was explaining. Watch for notices on Facebook, and join us next time. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, folks.
Good night, everybody. Merry Christmas. Be safe.
Merry
Good
Christmas.
travel.
Oh.